in the past from Kaying Rising, but with what we saw here in the sprint the other week, the way he performed there and put them to the sword a long way out, that was almost a career best performance, I thought, for him here the other week coming back from Australia.
Absolutely. It wasn't the Kaying Rising last year, but he still won by about a length and a half, so it just shows what a wonderful horse he is. He's much better as the Japanese runner, Satono Rave. He's had 4 races since the 3rd last year. The winner of the Takamatsunemi Akinen over Nomura Clare, then second in the Chairman's Sprint Prize. So he came back here in April, again beaten by Kaying Rising. Second, Lazat, and 4th in the Sprinter Stakes behind Win Carnelian, who is also engaged to run in the sprint. The 9-year-old, he's been starting big odds, Win Carnelian, and outrunning those odds. But of the two, Satono Rave's going to start the shorter of the international visitors, Tom.
Yeah, certainly is. And you look at, obviously, Win Carnelian in the race as well as one of the other overseas competitors. He's an 8-year-old. He likes to race on speed. He was, I think, somewhat of a surprise winner. Well, he definitely was at 50-odd to 1 when he won that race, the Sprinter Stakes, from a wide draw. But, gee, was able to tough it out. But I don't think that's been it's not a vintage sort of crop of sprinters in Japan at the moment. It's not as strong as it sort of has been in the past. So you've probably got to somewhat question the form there out of the Sprinters Stakes. But I would definitely prefer Satono Rave over Win Carnelian.
And we see Satono Rave pull up after his work today. So 3 of them have completed for the morning. We do have embroidery to work on the turf, but they'll wait till a few of these end tyres have headed back to the barn and keep them away from embroidery before she heads out, Tom, and then she'll bowl around. Interesting runner, embroidery. Comes here as a 3-year-old filly and takes on the older horses for the first time. Not tried at home in feature races against that, but thrown in the deep end here.
Yep, and his trainer, Kazutomo Mori, he's having his first runner for HKIR, so a big moment for him in his training career. And of course, quality filly she is by Admire Mars, winning the Japanese 1,000 guineas, the Shuka Show last time out over the 2,000 metres. So interesting they opt to run here at 1,600 metres rather than the 2,000. Of course, that winning the 1,000 guineas over Armour Volce was over the mile and raced wide throughout last time out, and eventually got up outside the leader and had a bit to find in the straight, but really dug deep to score and eventually was going away at the line. So she's a quality filly, just a 3-year-old, obviously taking on the older horses. She's got a little bit to find, certainly on her international rating, but looked a fraction keen in the Oaks and never really settled in that race going back 2 runs ago. And I think just being so unsettled in the run and ultimately 1 pace late, that brought her undone there.
See the sweat dripping off the line in winter, but as you said, that's probably not unusual for him that he does sweat up like that, especially on this morning here at Sha Tin, which is on the humid side. There's Satono Rave, and Ryan Moore very relaxed before and after his work as he heads back towards the quarantine stables. We'll see some gate practice, no doubt, for a few of the internationals tomorrow as well. There's been parade ring schooling, none of them due to head around to the parade ring this morning, but it's a standard, very familiar routine, be it a first-timer here in Hong Kong or ones that have been here before. If they want to do the gate practice, they can. The parade ring as well. It's all very structured.
Yep, certainly is. Obviously, some of these runners from overseas, they use different stalls to the Steriline gates that we use here in Hong Kong. So the starting crew will be up probably tomorrow at the top of the 1,000-metre chute with a set of gates up there for any that want to have a little bit of a look through there. Of course, they can't go to the parade ring today with the barrier draw, but we'll
very good
see,
point. Yes.
see a few more. There's a big stage down there that they'll run into if they went down there today. But it's fascinating to note horses like Satono Rave. He's probably going to be 16, 15 to 1 in this race behind Kaying Rising. We've got quality opposition like that lining up against a dollar favourite, basically.
And poor old Helios Express, you look through his form line, there is just Kaying Rising everywhere. His trials have been so-so, but he bounced back and ran third. He was never going to beat Kaying Rising last time, but the amount of placings he's run behind Kaying Rising, he goes great races. He's just bumped into a star, an absolute sprinting star.
And there was so much talk about that barrier trial leading into his last start in the Jockey Club Sprint that it was ordinary. The stewards had even put out a press release about it to inform the public and the punters of where Helios Express was. But I think you just had to keep the faith with the John Size runner, because if he didn't think he was right, he wouldn't have lined up in that race. And he acquitted himself well. He's had a good tune-up since then in a recent barrier trial. So he's a top 4 must.
I'm pretty happy with the line in winter. Pat Keating with a thumbs up to everyone going past from the stable representatives. So Pat's making the long trek up and down the straight. He covers some miles.
He does.
No matter where he goes, here or overseas, Pat Keating, more steps than anyone.
We see him on the simulcasts regularly with the Ballydoyle runners, and he's their rep here. I don't think Aidan's coming this week, but Joseph certainly is.
Yeah, Joseph arriving in the last 24 hours from all reports. As Satono Rave, geez, relax, isn't he, Tom? He just bowled into his work, did what he had to do. Head went straight down, just wanders back like he's done it 1,000 times before.
Knows what it's about. He's been here and done that, and he'll be, I think, again, one of those horses that you need to include in the top 4 this week. Lucky Swainess, where do you see him this weekend?
He's coming off that 4th. He was better last time behind Kaying Rising. He's not the Lucky Swainess that he was, but disappointed in Japan, ran 11th. His recent Sha-Tin form is okay. 2nd going back to September behind Kaying Rising. That was on the opening day. He'll be about midfield once again. If he draws well, he might be able to sneak a place. He's keeping on. He runs with that unusual style now with his head on the side, but Kaying Rising's just run past him, and he's not going to threaten Kaying Rising.
No, he's never been a gun out of the gates, has he? And he sort of takes a little bit to get into his stride, and that's certainly... It's never really helped him, but in the past he's been good enough to overcome that. But he doesn't appear anyway to be the Lucky Swainess of old. I think Fast Network. I think James McDonald probably thought the other day with Kaying Rising that he might have had a little sniff at the top of the straight, but that was only for a fleeting moment. But I think he's still on the up, really, as Fast Network. A 5-year-old. He's won 6 of his 15 starts. He's a horse that's won in group company here at Sha-Tin before. So the way he ran again the other day, and the way that Dennis Yip's got him going, he's not a forlorn hope for sure.
And you've got Raging Blizzard. Brenton Avdulla rides him. He's a horse that doesn't go many bad races. Again, he's not going to beat Kaying Rising. He did run 2nd 2 starts ago in the Premier Bowl. Made some ground when 5th behind Kaying Rising last time. He might be able to sneak a top 4 because that's what he does. But he's very, very honest.
Normally there or thereabouts, isn't he? He was a horse that ran a decent enough race last time out behind Kaying Rising. He ran a super race down the straight when not many expected him to close off as strong as he did there behind Fast Network, that many thought the 1,000 was short of his best. But no, he was super over the concluding stages in that race. And he's another one, as we see with the John Size gallopers, another one that's had a trial about 10 days in advance or so of his next assignment.
Got a couple of Japanese runners out, and the horse with the Japanese name, Tomodachi Kokoro, also running in the sprint. Tom, he's been a story. Believe his former trainer has made the trip to Hong Kong.
He's never left Australia.
No,
he's never left Australia. He's 72, Ricky Ludwig, and he's coming up to see Tomodachi Kokoro. I think he'd even given up training sort of after Tomodachi Kokoro, and he'd seen what this horse has done up here, and he's gone back to try and find the next diamond.
He's bought the half-brother. It's called Bank Interest because Tomodachi Kokoro was Bank, and Bank Interest is now the new one in the stable. He's the 2nd fastest 1,200-metre horse in Hong Kong, but then he bumped into Kaying Rising last time and realised that it's not all about times.
No, and he was beaten there 5.5 lengths in that race. Of course, Premier Bowl winner. He'd won a couple of Class 2s prior to that. This was a horse that up until the early part of this season, 28th of September, it had 17 outs in a row. There was form coming through a race at the Happy Valley circuit at the end of the season when he was in behind Beauty Waves, when they put that one-eyed blinker on, and that really seemed to turn him around. He's got an international rating of 107, so he's got plenty to find, and with the set weights here, 126, he's probably not well suited by that.
Here is Urban Chic, Tom, who's running in the Vase. This will be the first of the 4 Group 1s on Sunday over the 2,400 metres. This horse, he's a 4-year-old now. His form hasn't been as good since he was racing in the restricted 3-year-olds. Won the Japanese St. Ledger, 6th in the Arima Kinnan behind Regalera, then 3rd in the Nikkei Show. Down the track in the Takarazuka Kinnan and 5th in the Tenno Show last time. So he needs to find a few lengths against the older horses.
Yeah, he definitely does. Tenno Show autumn last start behind Masquerade Ball, who of course we saw run well in the Cup over there the other day. And Alexis Pouchon was on board there. It's Christophe Lemire. This time round with the 4-year-old by Suave Richard. Still an entire he is. Got a bit of a check at the start when... a few in that race where not many really made ground in the Takarazuka Kinnan there behind Meisho Tabaru, but the run was okay last time out. Japanese St. Ledger winner, so we know he can certainly stay there when he won over the 3,000 metres. So he definitely had some excuses in June. He's second up here, and he was making ground last time out from a low draw. Whether he's good enough to figure here, because it's a Group 1 race that's quite deep. It's quite deep, the Vase this year.
Here is the Hong Kong heartbreaker, Soul Rush, who managed to see off Romantic Warrior in the Dubai Turf in April. He's had 3 starts since, a 3rd in the Yasuda Kinnan behind Gentar Manta, 3rd in the Group 2 Fuji Stakes at Tokyo behind Gaia Force, and then 6th in the Mile Championship last time, again behind Gentar Manta. He's been to Hong Kong before, Tom. He's run 2nd in the mile behind Voyage Bubble. They are sticking with the mile, avoiding a return clash with Romantic Warrior. And he's a 7-time distance winner. Yeah,
sounds like it's his final run this weekend as well before retirement. So he's been a grand old horse for his connections, has Soul Rush. Christian Dumuro is taking the ride here. His trainer, Aiki, has had 12 previous Hong Kong International runners, and this was the best of them last year in terms of placings. Soul Rush there behind Voyage Bubble. Of course, a great win over the 1800 when knocking off Romantic Warrior. Went back to Japan, performed well in the Yasuda Kinnan behind Jantar Manta, who's gone on and done it again in the Mile Championship. A race that he was 6th in, beaten 2.5 lengths there. He sort of covered some ground off the pace in that race. I thought it was a decent enough run from him, from the 7-year-old. He can't be discounted really in a race like this. Certainly considering it's his race day swan song as well.
And this is the sort of mile where so many chances are in the race, Tom. And Christian Demiro to ride. It's his 5th ride in a Hong Kong international race. And Christian rode the horse last time. He knows him well. He won on him in Dubai in the Group 1 Dubai Turf. That was over 1,800 metres. And barrier draws this morning. No reason why he can't figure, because it's going to come down very much to tactics and where they land. You would think the result of the mile. It's one of the most open ones we've had in quite some time.
Open. That is for sure with the mile, and obviously got horses like Co-Partner Prance in the race that'll go forward. I think the Lion in Winter will be somewhere there. I think Purton will certainly endeavour to make sure Voyage Bubble is up somewhere at the pointy end. It's going to be a tactical race for sure, the mile, and My Wish won't be camped too far off that speed there as well. And like I said before, I don't think it's going to be the same sort of helter-skelter pace it was through the early stages of the Jockey Club mile here 3 weeks ago, which could be to the detriment of Galaxy Patch, because that's the kind of tempo he wants.
And that he was able to get and zoom up the inside. Now zooming down the straight is Soul Rush. Yasutoshi Aiki, the trainer. 11 starts in Group 1 racings, 2 wins and 4 placings, and given a strong last 200 metres or so this morning. Stretches the neck out and gets down to the winning post, and some really good work from Soul Rush here, the 7-year-old, ahead of his swan song for racing here at Sha Tin on Sunday. So that is the latest of the internationals to work. Embroidery will finish working on the turf, and then we'll switch on to the all-weather. Voyage Bubble worked early this morning. Tom, will see him soon. No surprise to you that Ricky Hughes elected to go to the mile as opposed to 2,000 metres?
Well, I just feel like 2,000 metres, obviously, that must have been plan A. When they ran into, they went to the Jockey Club Cup 2,000 metres. That seemed like it was plan A. Obviously, he had a really tough run first up with Matthew Poon. He covered a lot of ground, and then they thought, we'll go 2,000 metres. So they went 2,000 metres, ran into Romantic Warrior, couldn't beat him with the tactics they adopted there. The speed of the race was so slow. I think through those first few splits, for the first portion of the race anyway, they were about 4 seconds slower than they sort of regularly would be in those types of races over the 2,000 metres. So it feels like coming back to the mile. It feels like plan B to me. Is that, do you get a sense that it might be plan B? They think maybe he's not as competitive over the shorter trips now. He's a 2,400 metre winner here in Hong Kong. It just feels a bit plan B to me.
And they've taken on Romantic Warrior first up with a run under his belt. Yes, it was a tough run from Voyage Bubble, but he went in there, had the easiest lead. They went slower than the Class 4 or the Class 5 over 2,000 metres earlier in the day. And Romantic Warrior's run past him first up. So do we want to go against Romantic Warrior again, who's looking for 4 cups, who loves 2,000 metres, or head to an open mile and try and use his versatility with Zach Purton on board and go off that angle? Yeah,
the key will be certainly Zach Purton and where he puts him in the race through those early stages. Voyage Bubble, of course, when they adopted those tactics last time out, which the race certainly was run to suit him, and he would have won that race had Romantic Warrior not been in it. But when Romantic Warrior is basically there and you're trying to give sort of Romantic Warrior a standing start over the last 600 metres, he's going to be very, very tough to hold out Romantic Warrior, and that was the case. We know he's a quality miler, but he is another year older than he was here last season as well, and he has won up to the 2,400 metres now. So I don't know, I just thought he needs to be respected. He's a top 4 chance for sure, but it just feels a bit plan B. All right, that's Voyage Bubble. This is Urban Chic and Embroidery, with Embroidery on the left and Urban Chic on the right of screen. Both of them are now in the home straight, and the filly Embroidery, a winner of 4 of her last 5 to defeat, was 2,400 metres in the Oak. So her record over 1,600 metres is very good. She's won 2 from 4. She's placed as well, won over 2,000 metres when taking up the Shuka Show for the 3-year-old fillies last time. And there she is cruising down, carries 121 pounds under Christophe Lemaire on Sunday. And the green saddlecloth, which represents the Vase runner, and that is Urban Chic, who's a country fellow of Embroidery, and that is Urban Chic, will also be Christophe Lemaire in the silk racing colours. Quite a bit of arc form in the Vase this year. Tom Giavolotto back to try and win the Vase again. Sosi comes through the arc, as does Los Angeles. Giavolotto, really good run on an unsuitably slightly rain-affected track, and Sosi beat him home, ran 3rd. Yeah, it was obviously a real testing track there, as it can be for the Arc at sort of that time of the year in France. And you've got to say that he's absolutely in career best form at the moment, Giavolotto, and he was sort of midfield on the Arc. And considering the conditions there, and they weren't to his liking, it was a great run from him there behind Darras, and he fought on gamely to win it. Kempton, of course, there on the poly track over the 2,400 metres, defeating Kalpana. And Marco Botti with Andrea. It's nice to see Andrea rewarded with the ride as well, because he made the commitment to go over there. Of course, Shane Murphy was on something else there in the Arc, and he made the commitment to go over, and he's been rewarded with the ride here. So I think he's a fantastic chance once again. Definitely has to be respected. Didn't seem like the trainer, after he won at Kempton, was that keen on going to the Arc because of the track conditions there. So a slightly different preparation to what he had here coming into this last year, with that 3rd in the Irish St Ledger behind Kyprios. So obviously the ownership group were definitely keen to have a crack at the Arc, but yeah, the Marco Botti didn't seem after that when at Kempton that he was overly sort of keen on heading to France, that Hong Kong was always going to be the #1 target again. Here's Cardam on screen at the moment. Another one running in the sprint, trying to undo Kaying Rising. You'll get the punctuality award of the week, Will Cardam. Charlie Hill's runner, Oisin Murphy, takes ride. First sprint ride for Oisin, but he's been first out for every time they've worked on the all-weather. As soon as the track opens up on the inside, all week he's been first out. He comes here, Tom, off a 3rd in the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint, the winner of the Group 2 Woodford Stakes at Keeneland 2 runs ago. He sits back, which is not ideal when you have to try and give the 2-time track record holder, because he's broken his own record, Kaying Rising, a start at the top of the straight.
He's a 9-year-old. He's in reasonably good form, but how far off Kaying Rising is he going to be turning for home?
Too far for my liking. Cardham here. Charlie Hill's good on him for having a crack here with this horse. He's had 2 runners here in the past. As Charlie with the Vars and the Cup going back to 2011, I think it was. Delmar, he settled back. He stayed on okay there for third. Came from last to run over the top of them, of course, over at Kendon in the Woodford Stakes there, but with a rating of 113. 9-year-old here. He's having his first ever run right-handed, and we know the record of British sprinters here in the Hong Kong sprint. It doesn't make for pretty reading.
Now that is the one walking this way, Goliath in the green cap. And even if you check the notes, no, that's him. Another couple of them behind a run in the Cup. Kissisana, Rusham Park. Not sure he's out yet. He's blue number 4, Tom. He has been just so keen. That's him in the white blades and yellow bandages there on the left. But his work over the last 2 days, he has just done nothing but want to get on with the job.
He looked very keen in his track work yesterday, didn't he, Rusham Park? And we'll see if he shows that same level of keenness here again this morning. But yeah, he was a bit of a handful yesterday morning, wasn't he, as we see Cardham moving out on the turn out of the straight on the all-weather. So, yeah, something different for him this week, going right-handed. 9-year-old has never done it through his 43 starts to date.
Yeah, something very, very new. A lot of straight racing, left-handed racing in the US at his last 3 starts. He won't mind a firm surface because it's been a fast track at Delmar Keeneland at his last couple of starts, and also in the Kentucky Turf Sprint 3 runs ago. He found a bit of form when he ventured across to the US as he's heading into the back straight. This has been him the last few days, just bowling around on the all-weather, just keeping the legs fresh and getting him out of the barn as he runs on the all-weather for this morning. We've got more track work coming up tomorrow, Tom. We'll see what the plan is, how many we see tomorrow, because quite often on Friday, a number of them do stay up in the quarantine stables. They have all the facilities up there. There's a trotting ring. They can walk them, and it's the perfect setup for a home away from home.
Yep, certainly is. The club do a great job up there with the facilities, second to none really when it comes to the quarantine here at Sha Tin, and the facilities and everything that they have access to up there. For those that are unfamiliar with where it is situated here at Sha Tin, it's up near the top of the straight there. Just in behind the junction with the course proper and the 1,000 metre chute. There's several blocks of stables up there, and of course when horses come to Hong Kong that are migrating here, so to speak, they all spend 2 weeks up there once they get off the transporters and the freighters up there for a couple of weeks, and then they're off to their new homes, rather at either the Olympic stable or the main stabling block here at Sha Tin.
And plenty of the trainers also have a stabling complex up in mainland China at the Chung Fa training circuit at the moment. Horse racing is coming to Chung Fa later in the year as planned, but it's a very similar setup to Sha Tin. The track looks very similar, and it's just a world-class setup. There's paddocks and stuff that they haven't got room for here has all been included and thought for and added for the horses' welfare up there in Chung Fa. So it's about a 2.5, 3 hour drive from Sha Tin to Chung Fa.
It's been a while since I've done it. It was pre-COVID, but yeah, we'll be racing there end of October next year, I think, is the first meeting sit down there again. We've had obviously a demonstration meeting up there with full prize money and whatnot, and yeah, all of the facilities there, and they've added a lot of facilities here to Sha Tin in recent months as well. We've got treadmills here now at both ends of the complex, the Olympic end and the main block end here, and up in Chung Fa as well. You've got the water walkers as well.
As we see Cardham just not doing anything strenuous this morning. Now, this is going to be interesting, Tom. This is Rusham Park.
Not fired up yet.
Not yet. We'll see what he can do. He's going to run in the Cup, so he's going to have to try and take on Romantic Warrior. And if he fires up and sets up a pace, Romantic Warrior is just going to love that even more as he looks to make it his fourth Hong Kong Cup. Christophe Lemaire won this race back in 2006. He'll ride Rusham Park, whose form has been a little on the just average side, 12th and 15th at his last two. His last win was back on the 24th of September 2023. We'll talk more about him shortly, Tom, because Nick Child is out and about with our first special guest of the morning.
Yes, thank you very much, Mark. Pleased to say that I'm joined by Charles Hills, trainer of the sprightly veteran Cardem, of course, and we've just seen him out on the track. Nice bit of slower work for him. Charles, great to see you here. This isn't your first trip to Hong Kong, of course, but it's been a little while.
Yeah, it has been a while. I think 2012 brought Ransom Note over. Yeah, it's great to be back here.
Tell me about this lovely old horse of yours. I mean, he is top quality through and through, of course. He might be 9, but he certainly doesn't show his years.
No, he's better be 10 next month. But, you know, he's obviously come off the back of a successful trip in America, winning the Woodlands Group 2 and then obviously third in the Breeders' Cup. So, you know, he's coming here, you know, in really good form.
But he's clearly a horse who continues to hold his form, Charles. I mean, recent racing has certainly been right up to the mark.
It has, absolutely. You know, he's probably not too far off his best. You know, and back home he's won some very decent races. You know, two Jubilees, and Stewart's Cup as a 3-year-old, and plenty of other group races. You know, so he's been around. He's been a fantastic horse to have in the yard. He's got a great character, and he seems really nice and sort of fresh himself.
He seems to be the epitome of a sort of Jim and Featree Hay horse, isn't he? They seem to have some lovely sort of older horses down through the years, and he's one. I mean, one that springs to mind is sort of Here Comes When and horses like that, you know. But is he a nice horse to have around the place? I mean, he's obviously a stable favourite, I'm sure.
He is, absolutely. You know, he's certainly got his characters. He knows he's good. He has his days when he's certainly doesn't really want to do it, but you know, he's really key to him is fast ground. He loves to feel the feet under him. And so, you know, that's why we spent a bit of time in America knowing we were going to get that ground. So, you know, I haven't seen him for a few weeks, but to me, he looks like he's in great form. Just watching him there cant around, you know, he's trying to have a little buck and a kick, and he seems to be really enjoying it here.
Probably go on his travels on his own, wouldn't he, a horse like him who travels so frequently. And nice, obviously, for you to be back, you and your team, to bring horses here. I mean, you have to have the right horse, don't you? You
do, absolutely. You like to say, the ground's pretty quick here. And you know, you need probably a horse who's got plenty of experience, you know, because you know, you're taking on the local horses, which are very much used to racing around here. So you need a horse, you know, forward-going type of horse that's got plenty of experience.
Talking of local horses, we better address the elephant in the room. There's a pretty handy one in the sprint, isn't there?
I know. I just watched him a couple of weeks ago. Crikey! But at the end of the day, you know, if we finish second to him, it's no bad thing. But you know, there's other good horses in the race as well. But you know, these sprint races, you know, any split decisions and anything to go wrong, you need to be in the right place, and anything can happen. But obviously, got the draws coming up, which could be important. But yeah, see how we go.
It will indeed. And just aside from Cardem, who's obviously been a real flag bearer and done his part for the team, a good year for you. Cicero's Gift, of course, winning on Champions Day. We simulcast that with the Whirlpool. He was super.
He was fantastic. You know, he's another older horse just coming to his best as well. He was always pretty shown to be a good horse, and just lost his way. He had a bit of an injury, so we had to take our time. But you know, he had a great day. Obviously, he has a big price, but he was, you know, he probably shouldn't have been on that price on the day. He has come off a listed win, but hopefully we might come back here next year with him.
That would be lovely, actually, yeah, for sure. So, yeah, all in all, I imagine you're certainly looking forward to the weekend. When did you arrive? Were you at Happy Valley last night or not so?
Unfortunately not. We were aiming to, but the flight got delayed, so we got here quite late last night, really.
It's good to see you up nice and early here, Charles. Great to speak to you, and very best of luck with Cardem. We can't wait to see him go around.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Nick. And while the interview's been on, Tom, it's been the all-weather track highway. We've seen plenty of them. Sosie's been out there. Giavolotto's worked. Al Riffa was also on screen, so you got the best of both worlds. The Hill Stable report and plenty of the Vars runners, and also a few from the Cup too.
And there's Docklands on screen. He, of course, is going around in the mile for the OTI racing crew, and he struggled in this race last year, fair to say. He was down the track with Mark Zara aboard. He was a big price in the market, ran accordingly. So, 3-time winner at the distance, second run here in Hong Kong. Obviously, he's done a bit of travelling recently. He's been back to the UK, of course. He won the Queen Anne there on the opening day of the Royal Ascot meeting over Rosalie in a short margin there, a nose it was, and then was at Goodwood and back across to France. He ran a nice enough race there, not beaten too far behind Diego Velasquez, and then went back to Ascot again, and was in behind Cicero's Gift in the Mile Championship Japan last start. That was from a wide draw. He was back. Probably wasn't the worst of runs considering there behind Jantar Mantar last start, but obviously when he's been here in the past, he has just struggled that little bit, and Tom Marquand will ride this year for Harry Eustace, and here he is just having a light bit of work coming around the turn.
He was the first international to arrive, Docklands, when he came across after the Mile Championship at Kyoto. We've got a bit of a family affair taking place. Harry Eustace trains. David's been looking after him, brother David, while he's been here. Yesterday morning, Holly Doyle did the gallop on him on the turf. And Tom Marquand's going to jump aboard Sunday. So they've got it as well connected as you could possibly get for those that aren't here, heading towards Sunday with brother and husband both, brother and wife both being involved.
Yep, can't get any closer than that, really, can you? And so you go back through his form line as well, that Queen Anne victory there when he really dashed strongly. It was a real dogfight up the straight there. A notable speech was there as well. He was fourth, and since he's got a couple of Group 1 wins on the board, including a Breeders' Cup Mile. So there is some solid form around him, and that Mile Championship run probably wasn't as bad as first sort of thought, beaten 5 lengths behind Jantar Mantar, but would have to lift.
He's come here last year on the back of a run at Flemington in the VRC Champion Stakes, where he ran 6th this year. As I mentioned, he's come here from the Mile Championship, so a shorter flight across than what he had up from Australia last year. But
he's been here the longest
piece of work.
Yeah, and he's been here the longest out of any runner. So he was here not long after the Mile Championship, which was the 23rd of November. So he's had quite a bit longer here in Hong Kong than the rest of them.
He has. He should have been well and truly settled in by now. Has Docklands. There's not too many to work for the rest of the morning, Tom. We've seen plenty of them just shoot on through. Our Riffer, speaking of Melbourne Cups, he comes here from the Melbourne Cup, but he went home, so he's made the long way to Hong Kong.
Yeah, he's picked up plenty of air miles. So what do they call them on Emirates?
Yeah, what is it? No, that's Cathay.
Yeah, anyway,
yeah.
He's picked up plenty of those. I'd say he's been on one of those flights out of Melbourne. It was just obviously the big weight that was a telling factor there. For him last time out, he carried 130 pounds. He's got 4 pounds less to carry here. Horses carrying 130 pounds in the Melbourne Cup have traditionally never had a good record, and he settled so far back in the run. He drew barrier 19, which wasn't ideal, so they had to really take their medicine in terms of the barrier draw, but he got a long way back when beaten by Half Yours. He was 9 or so lengths off the winner there, but he was still making ground at the end. We know he can stay. We know the Irish St Ledger's been a good recipe coming into this race in the past.
And Nicky's trained by Joseph O'Brien.
He is indeed, and don't think we just throw the show together, because both horses have just walked right past us looking extremely well. But wonderful to see Joseph O'Brien here. Joseph, many thanks for joining us on the show a week or two ago, but great to see you here in person, and an exciting time this for you in the stable.
Yeah, it is great to be here, and great to have 2 runners here this weekend. Both horses are training well, they look great, and looking forward to Sunday's races.
2 high-class horses, Joseph. Let's start with our Riffer. I mean, a 3-time Group 1 winner. They don't give Group 1s away nowadays, wherever you are, and I mean, he is a real globe trotter, this fellow.
Yeah, he is. He brings his A game every day. Obviously dropped down in distance a little bit again this weekend, but he's run very well at this track, or this course and distance before in Ascot, 1.5 miles right-handed. He loves the top of the ground. He's progressive. Tough run in Melbourne the last day, but he's trained really well since then, and we're excited to see how we go this weekend.
It was always going to be a tough ask there in the Melbourne Cup, but I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I personally thought, I mean, it was a run full of merit given the circumstance.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
And of his exploits prior to that, obviously his Irish St Ledger win was mightily impressive, and a horse that Dylan knows extremely well.
Yeah, absolutely, and his run in Ascot was huge as well behind Rebel Romance, so he's a top class horse, and yeah, we're looking forward to this weekend's race with him.
He's joined by Galen, who I think is a really interesting runner, and I know it won't be lost on you the enormity of the task at hand, trying to win a Hong Kong Cup, of course, with Romantic Warrior in the field. But this horse gives 110% every run, doesn't he?
He really does, and he's just off the back of a career best. He likes to go forward, he loves fast ground, and he's travelled here very well. And obviously, as you say, Romantic Warrior is a special horse, and it's a privilege to be competing against him. But we think we can get a share of the prize money.
Joseph, does a slightly smaller field help or hinder a horse like him, perhaps? I suppose if he's out in front and able to dictate, I suppose what's going on behind doesn't really matter too much to him, does it?
No, he's super straightforward, and he goes a good gallop, and he's happy to go to the lead. So yeah, really what happens around him doesn't affect him too much.
You're a great ambassador for global racing, Joseph, of course. Obviously plenty of success, not just in Ireland and the UK, but everywhere. Special to bring horses here. I mean, this really is a special place, isn't it, Hong Kong?
Yeah, it really is, and it's just our second time runners here, so it's very special to have two horses that, you know, are pretty high class, and both with realistic chances of being competitive in their races, and that's what racing is all about these days.
It certainly is. Joseph, many thanks for your time, and very best of luck with both runners on Sunday.
Thanks Nick, thank you.
Thanks to both Nick and Joseph there, Tom, as the internationals just slowly wander back up towards the quarantine stables up there in the 1,000 metre chute. Here's Nerusham Park. He is going to wander down the turf track at the moment. He's done some work on the weather. Hopefully he's not heading towards the parade ring, because you've already said that there could be some carnage with the barrier draw set up in there. Yeah,
a few chairs and people rehearsing, ready to go for what is the barrier draw coming up a little later here this morning. But I think he's just having a little bit of a look around here, a walk, another stretch of the legs before he heads back to the quarantine facilities. We've heard Nick and Joseph talking about Galen there, the 4-year-old by Glen Eagles, coming out of the Bahrain International Trophy behind Real Champion last time out. He's second up here. He's won 3 from 15, but he never normally runs a bad race. Be interested to see what sort of price he comes up in terms of a place, because I think he's a live chance on some of those runs. Of course, he's been there in the Bahrain Trophy, as I mentioned there, and he'd had a couple of months off prior to that, and obviously some form there around Delacroix as well in the Irish Champion Stakes as well. So he's a fascinating runner, I think, leading into the Cup.
We're going to have a look at some of the local runners and their track work this morning too, Tom, and see how they competed, as Nerusham Park is now... No, he's going home. He's wandered down the straight. You can go home now, Nerusham Park. You're all done for the day. So he will be about the last of the internationals that we need to see for the morning. Famous colours, the Sunday Racing colours. Placed his last 2 in the Breeders' Cup Turf and also the Osaka High. So that's going back some time ago. And we're about to have a look at the local track work now. And here's the first of them. It's one of the sprint runners. It's Lucky Swainess.
Yes, you can see him there with that international rating of 118. So this was earlier this morning when the track was obviously open for all of the Hong Kong-based horses, and not too much strenuous work for him here this morning. As we know, he's been getting his head on his side. He's a horse that obviously I think at this stage of his career, his best does seem to be past him. He went over to Japan and ran over there, and it was a race that wasn't really ideally suited to him in the end. So they went pretty much quick throughout, and he just wasn't really able to handle that. It wasn't a bad run, but I think his best days might just be beyond him.
As opposed to Helios Express, who just keeps going good races. All-weather trials don't look too fancy the last couple of times, but he's turned up on race day. He's worked well this morning under a tight hold. He just can't beat Carrying Rising, with no one can, but he's very honest, and he's definitely a top 3 contender when it comes to the sprint on Sunday too, is Helios Express, working under the lights earlier here this morning. And
he got his first win since the Classic Cup, Classic Mile, with, of course, the Sha-Tin Vase last season, defeating Invincible Sage there. I will say he was a lot closer in his most recent trial.
Lucky with you. Maybe not up to Group 1 level at this stage. He hasn't done a bad job. He's getting on. International rating of 111. He's run on. He'll run his race. He loves 1,200 metres, but again, like the rest of them, be it local or international, they're playing for placings behind Carrying Rising as he goes through his paces under a tight hold this morning here at Sha-Tin. That's Lucky with you for Frankie Law.
Yeah, twice placed at Group 1 level this race, 2023 Centenary Sprint Cup as well. His most recent Group 1 assignment was the Chairman's Sprint Prize. He was well out of it there. He fronts up and runs well, but I think maybe his best days might just be beyond him as well.
Beauty Waves monstered by Carrying Rising in the Group 2. He led up and then he was put away at the top of the straight. Do you think he's a better 1,000 metre horse, Tom, at this stage of his career? He's full of speed and he's very good around Happy Valley. So he might show some early pace, but the last 200 will be a test.
Yeah, 100%. 1,000 metres more his go. I know he's been able to win a couple of times over the 1,200 one here course and distance led up last time out. It's going to be too tough this weekend, I feel, for him.
This is our next runner. Yellow 10 is Raging Blizzard. It's hard not to like this horse because he'll go around at odds. If they run along, which is quite possible, he'll be running on at the end. He won a super race over 1,000 metres for the first time ever a couple of starts ago. John Sires has done a great job with him. And as you touched on earlier, Tom, he's had one of those typical John Sires trials between runs.
Yeah, he's a 6-time winner from his 21 starts, so he's always been very, very likeable. He's having his first go here in Group 1 company, and he deserves his shot at that. Has plenty to find, though, off that rating of 109, and was making some okay ground late there behind Kaying Rising last start.
His Voyage Bubble, and he's running in the mile. You can see him jumping out of the stalls and working down the back, and that's quite common, Tom, that they'll have the stalls at the end of the 1,800 metre shoot and work their way down the back straight, and showing plenty of pace out of the gates earlier today too.
Yeah, he certainly was. This would be what you'd call in Australia or New Zealand a jump out down the back straight here from those gates which are situated there a couple of times a week, and he's had a nice gallop in a straight line down the back straight here on the turf. Obviously the winner of this race last year. We've got all 4 of the winners from last year lining up on the card on Sunday, and fascinated to see how he can go back to the mile, of course, from that run where he was beaten there by Romantic Warrior, and endured such a tough run in that first up assignment this season, didn't he?
Do you think all 4 are capable, or 2 certainly are capable of winning it again? Givolotto in the Vase, this guy in the mile, and Romantic Warrior and Kaying Rising look extremely hard to beat. Could it happen again?
It could. I think Givolotto definitely a chance. I do like El Riffer in that race, though, and the mile is up for grabs. I think it's not all sold, said and done in terms of Voyage Bubble in that category.
Here is a Beauty Joy, who's also running in the mile. He's been around a while, Beauty Joy, but he's going to line up again on Sunday yet in another feature race out of the Tony Cruz stable. He's a horse that will turn up at times. His last 2 haven't been as good. He did run 3rd going back to the Group 2 in October. He's had 2 runs since in the Sasa Ladies Purse, and then that 7th behind Romantic Warrior over 2,000 metres, electing to come back to 1,600 metres where he's a 4-time course and distance winner. Here is the horse, Tom, Galaxy Patch, that won on Trials Day last time, but he'll be hoping there's a stack of speed on again.
That's exactly what he needs. He needs an absolute scenario like it was for him in the Jockey Club mile here last time out when he defeated Sunlight Power. He needs the race to be exactly run like that, I feel. Interesting, some comments that James shared, that he's a little bit of a timid horse. There's not much of him. And just wonder if he's been a little bit field shy and he can overreact to things as well. Sometimes this horse as well, Galaxy Patch. But it was a great run. He can be often slow away, but got the absolute perfect scenario which he requires again this weekend. Happy
Together and 5th in this race last year. Alexi Bedell has a good record on the horse, and he's coming off that 3rd last time behind Galaxy Patch. He was 2nd in the Sasa Ladies Purse 2 runs ago. He's a horse, Tom, that is not normally too far away and is generally a decent price and might very well be again on Sunday.
Yeah, I've always liked this horse. He's normally really honest. Of course, was formerly known as Hotel Wren over in Ireland prior to arriving here. He's always consistent. Champions Mile, he raced wide and stayed on. That was his last run in Group 1 company. And then he was certainly held up last time out there behind Galaxy Patch. Ran 5th in this race last year. He's a shot for wider exotics, I think.
He was the shock from the Champions Mile in April. Red Line, where he upstaged Voyage Bubble at a huge price. Hugh Bowman rides. He knows the horse well for John Size. He's had 3 runs since for a 6th, a 10th and a 12th. Having said that, his form wasn't terrific leading in to the Champions Mile. It'd be a shock if he won it again.
I think so. He was 89 to 1 when he defeated Voyage Bubble by a very short margin in the FWD Champions Mile. He's had 3 runs since then, 2 this season. Sharton Trophy behind My Wish, 4.5 lengths away, 6 lengths from Galaxy Patch. Obviously, he got that shot Group 1 win last season. Did all of his birthdays come at once, I wonder?
This horse has a good win in him at some stage, whether it's Sunday or further down Sunlight Power. Now, he needs everything to go right. If there is bad luck, he tends to find it. His last 2 runs have been very good. He's been charging home from the back. Like Galaxy Pat, you'll be hoping there's pace on. Christophe Simeon takes the ride for Ricky Yu. There is certainly a good engine for Sunlight Power.
Yeah, there's a lot of ability with him. 6-year-old by Capitalist. Again, like you said, he got the tempo to suit last time out. He got a bit of a bump sort of with Happy Together at about the 300 metres in that race, but it was a top run. Nice ride too from Holly Doyle. She did nothing wrong there. Simeon goes aboard this week. International rating 115.
This is Ensued, who runs in the Vase for John Size, and Craig Williams is going to take the ride. Ran 4th in the race last year, one of just a limited number of locals running in the Vase. The visitors do look to have a strong hand in the race. Ensued is trained by the master trainer, though, in John Size, and that was his work this morning. Next up, Tom, is another one of the Vase runners turning for home, and this is Bundle Award, who will run a strong 2,400 metres.
You go back and look at his run last time out in the Cup there, when it's such a slowly run affair there for Bundle Award behind Romantic Warrior. He absolutely flew home in 21.4, and considering how the first 2/3 of the race was run, it was an incredible performance, really, and that was a blistering run from him late in the piece there. He was beaten 4 lengths. He is proven 2,400 metres, a Queen Mother Memorial Cup winner, but he's not out of it, I feel, this weekend. If he gets the right sort of scenario, James McDonald rides.
His trial is very good too. Now, the Derby runner-up, Kane Generation, from a while back, he's coming here second up. Ran 3rd first up in the Jockey Club Cup. He had 6 trials. He's a horse that is going back to 2,400 metres. Luke Ferraris is going to take the ride, but not sure where he's at this stage.
No, he's not won since a Class 3 handicap back in February of 2024. 3rd last time out. Not convinced. He'll run his race. He probably ran a similar sort of race to what he did in the previous Jockey Club Cup a couple of years ago.
It's been track work this morning, Tom. We're not done. Barrier Draw's not too far away.
Barrier Draw a little bit later this morning. Obviously, plenty of tour groups here, so they'll be heading down for the breakfast and back again for track work tomorrow. And, of course, plenty of other social events for everyone coming up in the next 24, 48 hours.
Absolutely. A little pause right now. Back for the Barrier Draw online from around 11 o'clock.